Welcome back to episode number 2 of the Balls and Goals podcast. As always, my name is Ian. I'm your host, and I have my co-host here, Jamie. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all good. I'm all good. It's been another, I guess, great week of football to be reviewing, I guess.
It has been. And before we jump in, remember to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Balls and Goals Pod. You can find highlights, predictions, posts, everything and anything there as well, and some funny little shots thrown at other teams. Arsenal, just saying. So, as you were saying, there's some interesting results, some good matches that happened the last week. For context, we are talking about game week 23. It is currently the 28th of January as we're recording this, so if we don't say anything that happened, it's because we don't know. So, yeah, some good results, some surprising ones, I think, to say the least. We made some predictions. I think we should go through those predictions first. So, we got a few right, got most of them kind of wrong.
It was a shock.
You nailed some scores. I think you nailed 2 or 3 games.
Yeah,
perfect score. Everything.
Yeah, I got 2 on the head somehow. Don't know how. They were complete hopeful ones, but I think the good thing is that we more or less got together nearly half the games right in result wise. Yeah,
we got a couple of them right. So let's start from the top of our listeners and work our way down, because that's the easiest way. So the prediction, we first predicted the West Ham and Sunderland game. You predicted a 2-2 draw. I predicted a 1-0 win for Sunderland, but the actual result was a 3-1 win for West Ham.
Yeah,
so not even close.
I actually watched that game, and I just seen when they went 1-0 up, I was like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And then they scored a second, and I then had to stop watching the last bit of it. And then I checked my phone later and seeing they'd won 3-1. And as I said last week, your man Nuno is going to have West Ham on a madness, and it's still proven that he's doing it.
He's doing it. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row they've picked up a decent result, I think it was. Let's see what their most recent win was. Yeah, they've won their last 3 games. One was in the FA Cup against QPR, but they beat Tottenham last week, and they beat Tottenham 2 weeks ago, and then they beat obviously Sunderland last week. On a good run. Nuno could be picking it up. That is the first win they've had since early November against Tottenham. So it's a long time without some green on the score chart or on the win column. So it could be.
And it's kind of good for their relegation battle, but I guess as we look through the other results, we'll see how it's also not beneficial for them.
Yeah, and we'll jump through the top 5 and bottom 5 places of the table later on as well, just to see how we're looking. The next result that we predicted Man City against Wolves. We predicted Man City would win, and we were correct, but the scores were a little bit off. So you predicted a 4-0 win for City, and I predicted a 2-1 win for City, but it was actually a 2-0 win for City. So I was this close to getting it right.
Yeah. I kind of didn't expect Wolves to score at all, just because I think we were saying last week how they'd kind of go out for vengeance this weekend over being bet, especially the Champions League during the week. So I think this was their week to maybe do damage, but they looked solid in the game, and I guess they got the job done.
Yeah, I thought we spoke last week with the Man City injuries as well. I thought that having a few of their at least at the time, main players out of the last game day, I thought that would affect it coming into the Wolves game, and then they might sneak one past. Even if they did, I didn't think it was going to do much damage, but I thought, Wolves won their, I think, last game or the game before that, and they drew the one before that. Had a couple of goals in them, so I thought they might slip one by, but obviously I was proven wrong. But we at least predicted right that it would be a win. So that's something as well. That's something.
Yeah, it's a start.
I think, and Erling Haaland didn't really do anything. Marmoush and Semenyo.
He didn't start, and I think that's what Pep is. Weirdly enough, he hasn't started. I don't think Haaland in the last 2 game weeks, but he's had him starting in the Champions League. So unless Pep's main aim is the Champions League, because the Premier League is, I don't know, all over the place at the moment, he's probably prioritising certain players for certain competitions.
Probably, which sucks for me because Haaland is my captain on FPL, so I might have to change that.
Yeah, same here.
I might have to change that. But I do have Semenyo from before he transferred, so I might just give him captain instead. Anyway, the next result that we predicted was Burnley versus Spurs. So we predicted, first of all, you predicted a 1-1 draw, and I predicted a 0-0 draw. It was actually a 2-2 draw. So... yeah, you know, we got the result right, but just the score wrong, which is good enough if you ask me. It's the same thing.
And as I guess Romero and Van der Ven being Spurs' second and third top goal scorers in the Premier League this season. Yeah,
I don't think anyone expected that. They both got the 2 goals in the game. Van der Ven scored in the 38th minute. Romero scored in the 90th to save the game, probably for them. But yeah, Richarlison is top scorer Spurs with 7 in the Prem, and Van de Ven and Romero are second and third with 4 each.
Yeah, I don't know if that just shows how good Richarlison's been, or just how bad overall Tottenham have been for scoring goals.
Yes. Let's just say it like that. I think they've been a bit off. I mean, I'm looking at the chart here. Richarlison with 7, Romero Van de Ven with 4, Joao Palhinha with 3, and Matthias Tell with 3. So their main striker has 7, their second striker has 3. Bit of a gap. I mean, we're 23 weeks into the league at this point. 7 goals for the top scorer is... I would say.
And I guess that's worrying. What they're only sitting with a +2 goal difference, which I guess isn't bad for being 14th in the league. But
this is Spurs. This is one of the quote unquote big 6 we're talking about here. This
sorry, Europa League winners as well.
That's crazy. Well, they won that last year. Now here they are.
I know.
Crazy stuff. I think that one was. We expected a draw, but I think just the score was the surprising part about that. Next game on our list of predictions, you predicted it was Fulham and Brighton. You predicted a 2-1 win for Brighton. I predicted a 2-0 win for Fulham, and Fulham won 2-1. So pretty close. I'll take that prediction as correct if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think my whole thing was Brighton going into the game seemed to be in this form where they could get and scrape a win, but I think I also mentioned that Fulham are also this bogey team that everyone plays, and I guess that they were Brighton's bogey team on the weekend and got a nice win out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was close to being a draw, I think. It looks like in the 74th minute, Danny Welbeck had a goal ruled out for offside. And then Harry Wilson slotted in 90 plus 2 with a free kick. So it was close. It wasn't... it was pretty close.
Yeah, and there was a few late winners during the weekend as well for some teams. So...
there was
people clutching at straws, I say, for the last few minutes of every game.
Yeah. And we have one of those coming up in the next one, actually. The next prediction. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. You predicted a 2-2 draw. I predicted a Liverpool 2-0 win. And it was a 3-2 win to Bournemouth. And as you said, some late winners. This was one of them. Adil for Bournemouth got a 90 plus 5 goal. That is a late winner. By all
I was
means.
watching that game, and it just seemed like the game was back and forth, and it was Liverpool were just trying to get that last minute goal, and even I was shocked when I just seen Bournemouth kick it into the back of the net, and I was just like, what's after happening here then? Because obviously now on my prediction I was like, 2-2, what a prediction. And then next ball they just pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool seems to be that team where I think at least for me, I expect them to be doing better than they are. Not that they're doing bad, but based on their last couple of years, I thought they'd be pushing more for the league than this. They're currently 6th in the table, which again, it's not bad, but compared to the last couple of years where they had finished much higher positions. I mean, if we look at the table last year, they won the league last year. 23-24 season, they came 3rd. 22-23 season, they came 5th. So yeah, they're kind of not like up and down, but they're pretty consistently within kind of top 3, top 4. And I think I mentioned the last one, we watched the FA Cup final at the beginning of the season, and it looked like they just couldn't get into it in that game. First competitive game of the season. It's a little bit different, sure. But it just looked like they just couldn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't create enough chances for themselves, which is probably what happened here as well.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, it is quite a surprise on how strange their form has gone. Like, seeing who was it? I think Michael Carragher was saying that for them spending 430 odd million, that if they don't even finish in a Champions League spot, that's like a bit of a crazy outcome. And like if you look at the stats of the Bournemouth game, like they had a 0.93 goal expectancy to Bournemouth's 2.35.
Yeah, like clearly whatever Bournemouth were doing was working a lot better. I mean, funny thing is Liverpool had more shots, and they had 14 shots to Bournemouth's 12, and Bournemouth had 5 shots on target, Liverpool had 4.
Yeah, and Semenyo is gone as well, so it's showing that they can still do without him.
They can, yeah, which is, I think, the best outcome that Bournemouth would have wanted. I mean, they lost at the time, their top scorer. I think he's the 3rd top scorer of the league or something like that. Semenyo with 11. So 3rd top scorer in the whole league. That means clearly he was important for Bournemouth, to say the least. So the fact that he's gone and they're still scoring 3 goals against a team like Liverpool, pretty good sign for them, I would say. Pretty good sign.
Yeah, it was. And so, I think that's what everyone was kind of guessing, like, with the amount of wingers that City have, would his form continue? And like that, he's played 4 games? 4 games for City. He has 3 goals and an assist.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's like 1 goal or assist per game.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a great start to City career, especially a team like City. We see lots of great players transfer, and sometimes they immediately come running off. Like I think Haaland was performing immediately. Obviously broke the record for most goals in the Premier League season his first year. But then you have other people who are great, like Jack Grealish, who go, and for whatever reason, whether it's the position they play in there or just the system that is around, they can't do it as well. So the fact that Semenyo's walking in there with what feels like 17 wingers on the bench at City and still performing well is good to see.
It's nice, a good job.
It's nice that a big name or semi-big name is transferring somewhere to what you would consider a bigger team, and he's still doing well. That's a good sign for players as well, not just the clubs. Anyway, moving on. This one you predicted spot on. So the next one on our list is Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. You predicted a 3-1 win to Chelsea. I predicted a 2-0 win to Chelsea. We both predicted the same outcome, but your score was spot on. It was a 3-1 win to Chelsea, and Crystal Palace had a red card as well. I mean, that wasn't a late winner. It was decided pretty early by the look of it. I mean, the red card was given, let me see if I can find what minute it was given here, in the 72nd minute to Adam Wharton. So defensive mid, that probably leaves a pretty big gap in the
team. And I think I just felt like with Chelsea, with their form kind of going into the game, they are kind of like they've been hit and miss this season with the squad they've had, but like I guess they were coming off the back of a win in the Champions League and winning the previous game week against Brentford, so I just think they're starting to get that run of form as they were saying with United, you get rid of a manager and next of all you go on this mad run. So I guess 3-1. I seen Crystal Palace just getting a goal, but yeah, I guess happy out that I got it exactly spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty good result to predict spot on. Pretty good. I don't think there's very many talking points on that particular one. It seemed just like a normal game. So I guess moving on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Next one on our list was Newcastle versus Aston Villa. You predicted a 2-0 win to Aston Villa, and I predicted a 2-0 win to Newcastle. I was wrong. It was a 2-0 win to Aston Villa, so again, spot on with the score. You predicted it exactly like it was, spot on.
And it's kind of surprising because I said 2-0, and then I think it was a couple hours after that I seen a stat that, like, was it Newcastle, I think, have scored in most of their games, so like for them not to score was kind of a odd one.
Yeah.
And that's why, for whatever reason, I picked 2-0, and it worked out.
It did. And to further put that maybe into a little bit of context, I'm looking at the stats here. The player of the match for that game was Emi Martinez with a 9.1 on FootMob, which is pretty good. Newcastle had 61% possession. They had a 2.18 expected goals with 15 total shots. So clearly, Emi Martinez was one of the top reasons that they won that game. I mean, he made 4 saves. He prevented a 1.3 goals, expected goals. So I guess either way, even if he didn't, it probably would have been a 2-1 win. So, I mean, based on that, you can argue they probably would have won anyway. But, I mean, a goalkeeper getting a 9.1, you don't see that too often.
Yeah,
anymore.
like he must have had some crazy performance to pull something out like that. And even if you see in the stats, Nick Pope had to make 6 saves in that game. So it didn't just show that, I guess, Martinez had a lot. I guess Pope was getting plummeted out of it as well.
Yeah, I guess they both just on fire. Both keepers on fire that game by the look of it. Obviously, I'm saying that because I didn't see it, so I can't comment too much. But yeah, there you go. Spot on 2-0 win for Aston Villa. Spot on result. And the next one on our list, neither of us got right. So the next one on our list was Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. You predicted a 2-1 win for Brentford. I predicted a 1-0 win for Brentford. It was actually a 2-0 win for Nottingham Forest. So surprising. Well, not like surprising, but I think we expected Nottingham Forest to lose just with the form they've been in. The fact that they're currently 5 points above the relegation zone. And Brentford are sitting 8th. So I think we thought that was probably going to be not an easy win for Brentford, but it seemed like it was, I guess, kind of expected in a way. But no, Nottingham Forest pulled it out, 2-0 win, and they go now 5 points clear of the zone.
Yeah, and that's what I guess I think I was saying doing the predictions, that Brentford were on a good run of form, and I was shocked when I was seeing that they went 1-0 down, and then when they went 2-0 down, that was just, I couldn't believe it. But I guess they played Chelsea in their last game and lost 2-0 before that, so maybe that was like a knock-on effect, because before that game they went on a 6-game unbeaten run with only one of them being a draw.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good run of form. So yeah, I think we were surprised that not only was it a 2-0 win, but Nottingham Forest, I think it was Igor Jesus scored in the 12th minute. So our prediction was destroyed 12 minutes after kickoff. So it didn't take long for that one to be wrong. But yeah, there you go. Again, we'll run through the top 5 and bottom 5 places of the table in a few minutes. Just going to go through our results and predictions. I'm going to come back to one in a second. So the next one on our list was Everton versus Leeds. You predicted a 0-0 draw. I predicted a 2-2 draw. It was a 1-1 draw for teams. So the result we predicted correct, but the score we just got wrong. And I was hopeful, actually, when I saw Leeds score relatively early, 28th minute by, I think, James Justin is his name, I think. I was hopeful because it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like Leeds are kind of one of them wildcard teams a little bit as well, where, you know, you could come out and they could just be dreadful, or you could come out and play them and they can just not dominate, but they can be surprising. I think they had a result earlier this season that I don't think anyone had expected. I think, what was it? They beat Crystal Palace 4-1. They beat Chelsea 3-1. I think it was against Man City that they won. Or not Man City. I can't remember which game it was, but there was it was a 3-3 draw to Liverpool. That's what it was. That was one of them games that I think a lot of people didn't expect Leeds to get anything from. I think that was around November, so still before the halfway point, and I think a lot of people didn't expect Liverpool to draw that game or even Leeds to draw that game. But that was, again, I think they're one of the kind of wild card teams. They can either be unreal or you can kind of get a walkthrough sometimes. But they're doing well recently, I think.
Yeah, I watched the game actually that on Monday, and you know, Leeds started the game off great. Like, their formation was just absolutely tearing Everton apart, and I think Everton were playing 4 at the back, and I think the wing backs for Leeds just tore them, and that's how, you know, Justin got his goal. And at half time, then David Moyes swapped it to kind of copy the same formation as Leeds, and then that's when it kind of got a bit more competitive, and Everton started taking the reins of the match and got back into it. And they could have got a winner, but it was just they couldn't find the back of the net at all. And I guess I mentioned Barry last week about continuing his scoring form, and he scored.
Actually, and there you go, 70, was it 76 or 78th minute, something like that, he scored. 76th minute. You mentioned that exactly last week, that you thought he would be important for that game, and there you go, he scored to get the draw and save Everton from losing. Anyway, so the final game week of game week 20, was it 23? Yeah, game week 23 was Arsenal versus Man United. Now you predicted a 2-2 draw, and I predicted a 1-0 win for Arsenal. And I think this result is going to open a whole can of worms to another conversation in a second that we touched on last week and didn't expect it to happen so soon. The actual result was a 3-2 win to Man United. And we said this last week, that the last couple of years Arsenal have been near the top or at the top. They have bottled it one way or another. Are we seeing the start of another bottle job this year? They're currently first with 50, City are second with 46, and Villa are third also with 46.
Yeah, they started last week, I think we were saying 7 points clear. And
yeah, they were. Yeah,
they had the chance to keep it like that, and we were saying how United's form and could either go, like as you said, new manager thing where they keep getting these results, or as you predicted they'd lose the game. And I guess I was just being hopeful to get an entertaining game of 2-2, but I did not expect a 3-2 win for United.
No. And again, the 3 main goal scorers were very important in the last game as well. In Man United's previous game that they had against Man City the week before. So Mbumo scored in the 37th minute, Dorgu in the 50th, and Cunha in the 87th. So again, kind of a late winner. Like you said earlier today, kind of a late winner in the game as well. Now, the only negative about this game for United is that, as far as we know, Dorgu is now out for 10 weeks. He scored the last 2 games. It looked like he's doing really, really well. And he's stopped in his tracks pretty much immediately. I mean, you've got to feel for the lad. That's got to be tough.
It's really unfortunate, as you were saying, scoring in 2 back-to-back game weeks, which I don't know, he's now been converted from a fullback to a winger, and it seems to be working for him. Like, he's leaving Cunha on the bench, and he's pulled out 2 goals, and that goal against Arsenal was an absolute worldie. And you know, there was that whole, I guess, cry for handball, the way it came up on him, but I see it was kind of hard for him to move his arm out of the way, and it was in a natural position when it hit him. So I think it was a fair goal.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that, like, is pretty controversial now. I mean, handball is it seems like the definition changes like every day or every week. You know, every week we see something happen where, like you said, the attacker is running one-on-one with the defender and he flicks the ball up and hits the defender's hand. In that length of time, if his hand is in a natural position or not, obviously that's important. But if an attacker flicks a ball up to someone's hand that quick, you know, unless it looks like you're obviously trying to grab the ball or handle it, like, can you actually move your hand out of the way in time for that?
Yeah, because I think in the game as well, it was another handball shout when Harry Maguire went to block the ball, and as he was sliding, he put his hand on the grass and it hit his hand and deflected into Lemon's hands, and that's what we've seen them given before, but it's just so, I guess, inconsistent with referees that some will pick it and some won't. Yeah,
I mean, for anyone who's played football out there at any level, either for fun with your friends or as a team, if you've ever slide tackled, you know that you put your hand on the grass for a bit of stability. Like, you're not putting it down there to get a handball. You're just kind of putting your hand next to you so you don't fucking fall and hit your face on the ground. Like, you're not trying to do anything. So if Harry Maguire is sliding in and the ball's kicked into his hand, again, I mean, the speed at which this game is played at this level is insane. How, like, he doesn't have enough time to pull his hand out of the way, especially if he's already sliding before the ball's kicked. If it doesn't look like, if his hand is flat on the grass and the ball's kicked into it, like, if his hand is pulled up, kind of like he's reaching for it, that would be different. But if it's on the ground and he's sliding and it's kicked into it, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah,
like, that's a harsh penalty.
Yeah, and I think what VAR should do, or the Premier League should do, is release images of, I guess, handballs given that would be awarded, say a free kick or a penalty, and then compare them then to ones that they wouldn't deem as it, because that'll make it a lot clearer. Because, you know, 1 week you're seeing one type of handball and it's a penalty, and then you're seeing one that's somewhat similar, but they're like, it's a few inches further up your arm, and they're like, no.
It's inconsistent. I don't think anyone has a problem with the rule of handball. The problem is how it's enforced, I think. You see a lot of people who, like you said, there's an example that happens 1 week and it's given, and then the same thing happens either in another game week or another game on the same day or same week or the next week, and it's the same situation, but it's not given, or it is given instead. Like, a bit of consistency, I think, is what most people want. I mean, even, I don't know, it seems like even the pros are sort of not confused, but they kind of have the same complaints that, like, if you're going to give a handball, fine, but you have to give every foul like that the handball as well. Like, if Harry Maguire's handball was given a handball, if sliding and using your hand to control yourself is handball, then that means every scenario like that should be given as well. Now, I don't believe that is fair, but if you give someone a handball for something like that, you cannot not give someone a handball like that in the same week or a different game week if it's the exact same thing. It's, like you said, lack of consistency in the ruling.
And that's the thing, is, like, I guess the issue with having, I guess, so many referees and so many VAR staff is everyone's different, so everyone will view it as a different thing. But You know,
That's
is
part of the
it?
problem.
Yeah, and it's like, are some referees following, or are the VAR people following a certain manual differently compared to others, or like what is the training like that they're all coming up with these different findings?
Yeah, yeah. And we did have an interesting situation this weekend. So I believe it was the Man City versus Wolves game. We had a referee, Farai Halam, I think is how you pronounce his name. He went to the VAR station to review a handball, and it's a situation like we just said. Marmouche was running down the side, down the edge of the box, and he had flicked the ball into the hand of the Wolves defender. And the referee went to the VAR station on the pitch, reviewed it, and from what I understand, he had the VAR room advising him to give it as a penalty, and he said no. He ruled it out, the game continued, and it went on. And that's exactly the kind of situation we said just there as well, where the defender flicks it into the attacker flicks it into the defender's hand. They have no time to react. It is somewhat in a natural position. Again, they're not reaching for it. They're maybe just putting their arms out to slow themselves down, or maybe jockey the opponent or something. They're not doing it to grab the ball. And I would say fair play to that ref for not giving that, because having been in some situations playing football through my life myself, like that's a really harsh and unfair penalty to give. So I just thought it was very interesting. We saw someone ignore the VAR room advice and use his own judgment.
And especially, cool. Being on his, I guess, Premier League referee debut to go against it was a big decision for him, and I think he's getting a lot more praise from, I guess, other people. Maybe City fans are probably salty over it, but
yeah, probably
they still got the win. But you kind of have to look at it like, you know, this is the first time we've more or less seen them go against the result that has been advised by the VAR room as a penalty, and he's just said no. And I seen the clip of it. Like, look, I can see where VAR were coming from, but it's also like his arm you might classify as a natural position, even though it's out of his body. It's not like he put his arm out to scoop the ball away. He was just trying to, I think, touch Marmouche's shirt or something, and it flicked up onto his arm, and that's just and that's what I mean, talking about consistency. That's where it's getting all jumbled up. Yeah,
and like we just said, I mean, there's the Marmouche thing. I think you had another example there. A lot of players will flick the ball into the defender's hand, which in some cases, if it looks bad enough, sure, it can be a handball. If it looks deliberate, that's fine. We're not saying that's the problem. But what do you think is the bigger problem here? The fact that players flick the ball into the hand and know they can get a penalty for it, or the inconsistency of refs? Because I think both is somewhat of an issue, but what's worse, the attackers doing it on purpose, knowing they'll probably get a handball, or like we just said, the referees giving it or not giving it week in, week out because they view it differently. Even if they go to a VAR review, it's not always the same outcome.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one, because as you said, an attacker can just run up the line, scoop it back, and the defender's trying to slow himself down, so he's not going to be sticking his arms by his side and run like a stick past them.
No.
You have to stick your arm out to somehow maybe grab the player, but use the player that you're trying to defend against momentum to stop you from running by him. And your arm could be out. Yeah, and next ball gets flicked out, because if they're getting given as penalties, why is it not saying that if you have a shot from 40 yards out and it's blocked by Harry Maguire sliding down in his arm, that's not a penalty as well then?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, is it attackers not bending the rules, but sort of, I don't know how you describe this, as in attackers using the rules heavily in their favour? Sure, that can be part of it. I mean, like you said, if the defender's running after you, at that stage of the game, at that level, they probably will put their arms out to try and grab you, maybe tug on your jersey a little bit, maybe even just try to slow them down. You know, when you're running fast and you try to slow down, you use your arms a little bit in the other direction to slow yourself a little bit. I mean, I think the consistency is more so a problem in the ruling, because I feel like players are only doing it because they know they can get it. If the referees put their foot down, and if it's obvious that the defender didn't do it on purpose, then if they stopped giving that type of penalty or that type of handball as often, we might see players flicking it into the defender's hand less, which I think would maybe feel a little bit better. It feels like attackers are looking for fouls any chance they get. Oh, they can't get past him in a 1v1. Fuck it, flick the ball into his hand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that's like the thing as well is it's hard to judge then, like we're talking about what is a penalty and what not, like what isn't. Like you might have one game where that's another referee and he gives that as a penalty, and then everyone's just like, oh, fair enough. But then your man hasn't given it a penalty and everyone's like, oh, you know what, fair play, like he didn't give that. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one, for sure. Definitely a strange one. Anyway, but moving on, that was I thought a pretty cool moment from the weekend. So fair play to Farai Halam for trusting his gut, trusting his instinct, and sticking with his own decision. It's pretty cool to see. I hope we see it more, assuming it's the right decision. I thought he made the right call. I don't want to see referees going with their gut if it's blatantly the wrong decision. So, as long as they're making their own choice and it's correct, that's fair enough with me. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, once it's not like, I guess, a consistent thing and I'm just going against VAR all the time now, like making a stand, then I won't have an issue with that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on. Before we look at our predictions for next week, let's take a look at the table real quick so we can see how things are looking. So, as I mentioned, we're just going to look at the top 5 and the bottom 5 and see how we're looking after this game week. So, as mentioned, in first place, we have got Arsenal with 50 points. In second place, we've got Man City with 46, so pretty close. In third place, we have Aston Villa also with 46. In fourth place, we have Man United on 38. And in fifth place, we have Chelsea on 37. And I feel like it's important, as I mentioned before, Liverpool are 6th with 36. So that could be, like, they're not out of the race entirely. So they could come back, but who knows?
Yeah, like, I guess that's the thing about, I see a lot of people, I guess, on social media and punters saying that this year is full of pretty bad football and pretty bad football teams, because the league is so close that it's not like, say, it's Arsenal, City and Villa are 13, 12 points ahead of everyone. It's like, I seen another thing today that United are, they're the highest team for winning the league by being 10 plus points behind the leaders at this time in the season.
Yeah.
Could United win the league?
Look, they could. I mean, they're what, 12 points behind. We still have most of the season left to go. There's 38 games in the season and we're 23 in. Like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these positions are probably going to change. And with the, like you said, with the top 3, top 5-ish being pretty close, like, there's room for a surprise, which I'm open to. I think a league being decided early, like, is kind of cool. If a team deserves it, then fair enough. Like, I think we saw Man City in, I think it was 23-24 season. They just destroyed everyone. Like, they had the league decided by like December. They were like 15 points clear by New Year's Day or something. Like, they were monsters that year. But I like seeing a league that's close. It makes it interesting. It's not like, oh, Arsenal are 10 points clear, they're probably going to win it. It's like they're 4 points clear and 2 teams are 4 points behind them. And between first and 6th, it's 14 points. That's not a huge gap. Like, anyone could win it still, which I like to see personally, at least.
Yeah, and I think that's, look, there's people that don't like Arsenal and there's people that don't like City, and it's kind of, is it maybe even Villa's year to win the league?
It could be.
Because I know people, I think only Arsenal fans want Arsenal to win the league. And
Yeah, I think
yeah, I know from everyone else they're like, no, we don't want them. I don't even want City to win. So I think we'd
no.
settle for even Villa to pull a magic one out.
Villa winning it would be so funny. So funny. Arsenal been trying to win for like the last 5 years, and then Villa come out of nowhere and win. That would be the best.
It's like
I
when
would love to see that.
was it Leicester won the league?
Yeah,
and
2016.
Arsenal finished second, and that was like Leicester had only gotten promoted.
It's so like that's a fairy tale story. That's like a really cool story, and whether you believe it's, I don't know, scripted or not, who cares? It happened, but it's still pretty good. It's funny to see a team win the league again for Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's always funny, and as much as I think the Arsenal squad is pretty good this year and has been for the last couple of years, obviously getting better. I mean, people like Declan Rice have stepped up, and I think he's doing pretty well. Other lads as well, but it would be cool for them to see them win. But ultimately, I think it'd be funnier if they didn't. Just putting it out there.
Yeah,
So-
and that's what I think. Like I was saying, it was actually Arsenal fans talking about their attackers, and it's I think Martinelli hasn't scored in 13 Premier League games. Saka hasn't scored in, I think, 7 or 8 game weeks.
Wow.
Gyökeres hasn't scored in ages. Like, it's where are these goals coming from? Like, I know Moreno does pop one in, and Rice has been quite good, but you have Trossard and Gyökeres scoring. But I think Gyökeres' goals came at the start of the season, but he's really kind of dropped off. And we were talking about him last week and his like adaptation, but there's not one Arsenal player that has scored 2-figure goals, and we're already over halfway into the season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the list here, their top, I'll just say top 5. Leandro Trossard with 5, Victor Gyökeres with 5. 2 of those were penalties, by the way. Declan Rice with 4, Emery Eze with 4, and Mikel Merino, like you said, with 4 as well. Like, I mean, as I said, no player with double-digit goals at this point in the year. I don't know how the hell they're top when it seems like no one has more than 5 goals.
Yeah,
That's nearly impressive in itself.
Yeah, and I guess it is, a fair enough point, because even if you look at the other teams, like you have City with 2 people on 10 plus goals, you then have like Aston Villa, I think their top goal scorer, like Ollie Watkins, with 8. United's top goal scorer has 8 goals. It's kind of one where not many of the big clubs have a standout goal scorer. It's kind of well spread.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, you pay, like, some of these lads have come in recently for huge money, and you expect them to lead their teams in goals. I mean, I'm looking at the top scorers list right now. 3 players have more than 10 goals so far this season. Haaland with 20, which is wild. 20 goals in 23 games is insane. Igor Thiago at Brentford with 16, Antoine Semenyo with 11, and then 4th is Calvert-Lewin at Leeds with 9. I mean, the top 3 scorers have over 10. 3 people in the whole league have more than 10 goals. Like, I mean, the fact that it's well spread is kind of like good for the team, I guess. It means everyone's chipping in, but I don't know. It's interesting to see that so many, only 3 people have more than 10 goals 23 games into the season.
Yeah, but I guess the Premier League, the top scorers are kind of lucky, because Haaland hasn't scored a non-penalty goal in 9 games.
It's been a while.
And his last goal, which was a penalty, was against Brighton back on the 7th of the 1st. So even in their 10-0 win against Exeter, he started, and I think he played, what was it?
I think it was to like 64 minutes or something like that. And then
Yeah,
he came off. Like, everyone on that team got a 7+ rating, and he got like a 6.
Yeah, like I couldn't believe. I seen 10 goals, went to see who scored, and he wasn't even on it.
I know. I was thinking, I was like, I bet he got 7 of them. He didn't get any of them. It's like, oh, okay, wow, interesting. There you go. But yeah, I was also looking as well. I've seen a few people comment on the way Arsenal score goals, like you said there a few minutes ago. Obviously, most of the goals coming from open play, but the second best way they score their goals is from set pieces. Now, I haven't seen it myself, but I hear they have a corner technique that seems to work like every time. It's like a cheat code for them nearly. From
yeah, they've like created their own glitch where they only score from corners, and I guess, you know, it is a good way, because I'm pretty sure their set piece coach is like one of the most highest rated set piece coaches you can get in Europe, and I think they need a bit more than just trying to get corners and free kicks to win games.
Yeah, well, it's worth noting that those set piece goals, at least on FootMob, none of them are counted for free kicks. So it looks like they're all corners.
Yeah, and
or at least free kicks crossed into the box and what have you, but no direct free kicks from what I understand.
And that's what I think I seen Ahmed having a go on Twitter at some fan. They were kind of saying that United were going to get battered and all, and Ahmed responded with something like basically slagging them that they only score corners. And it's just gas when you see players fighting back with the fans, slagging them off.
It's gas, yeah. Yeah, well, anyway, moving on to the bottom 5 teams of the table. So currently, actually I'm going to say bottom 6 because 14 and 15 are level. 14th, we have Spurs. Again, are they in the top 6 anymore? Who fucking knows? Spurs with 28 points. In 15th, we have Crystal Palace also on 28 points. In 16th, we have Leeds on 26 points. 17th, we have Nottingham Forest on 25 points. 18th, we have West Ham with 20, so we're in the relegation zone now. 19th, we have Burnley with 15. And as we said, at 20th with Wolves with 8. Again, I repeat, 8 points. They're pretty likely to be going down. I think it's almost definite at this stage. Really.
Yeah, and I think when we were talking about the start with West Ham getting the win, I think they were also praying for what we were as a Forest loss, but they didn't get that, so their 5-point gap is kind of still there. And you know, I know there's only a 5-point gap now, and there's still a good few games left, but if you look at West Ham's fixtures, like their next game is Chelsea, then Burnley, then it's Man United, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, City, Aston Villa. So like they still have to play like
tough
teams
stretch.
Yeah, like teams in the top half, and you then have Forest, where it's Palace, Leeds, Wolves, Liverpool, Brighton. Like they're kind of top teams come near the end of the season, so I think they're hoping to kind of pick up these points now before it gets to that later stage.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean that would be the aim. Want to get the goals in now, get the wins now, create that gap while you can before you get to the end where it's just fucked. It's definitely better to get the points now while you have the not easy but easier games, and then hope when it gets to the difficult ones at the end, hopefully you can hold out for even a draw. I think they'll accept at that point.
Yeah, because I know it's 23 games in, but you're already kind of fighting for survival. I'm pretty sure Burnley and Wolves have already given up, because it's more or less a guarantee unless Burnley somehow pull 10 points out of the bag, with Forest never winning a game. But we'll have to see. Even if
Wolves pull 10 points, they go from 20th to 19th. Like they're cooked. They're done.
They're finished.
I think it's pretty cut and dry. It's like they're done. They're done. To say the least. Alrighty, well, we are at the 49-minute mark, so we are going to give our predictions for game week 24. So I'm just going to go in order of, I think, the time that these matches come out. So I'm just looking on FootMob, and that's how I'm going to determine our results. So, first game is on Saturday the 31st. We've got Brighton versus Everton. What are we thinking for this one? It's I mean, we expected Brighton to pull something from last week and they didn't, and then Everton did. So
I think it's somewhat swinging in Everton's, I guess, way at the moment, because Brighton just are hitting a brick wall. It seems they're
it might also be worth noting in the last couple of games, this fixture has been pretty heavy for Everton. August of 2025 was their first meeting. Everton won 2-0. The meeting before that was January 2025. Everton won 1-0 again. And then before that, Brighton won 3-0 in the 2024 season. So it seems like Everton won the last couple of games in a row against Brighton. And I mean, like you said, Everton got something from their game last week, kind of, with the draw. But Brighton were somewhat not unexpectedly, but not a huge surprise to see them beaten by Fulham. And if they're going up against Everton, I mean, Everton are 10th at the minute. Brighton are 12th. There's only 3 points between them. Could go either way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 1-0 Everton. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm gonna
say that.
Kind of probably say the opposite to what I gave Brighton last week and say it'll be a 2-1 for Everton.
Okay, so we both basically think that Brighton are cooked.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It would be crazy if they somehow won this game with Moyes kind of bringing Everton back into good form. I think when they get in good form, it's quite hard for them to come out of that. Yeah.
Well, look, let's see what happens. You know, we're a couple of days away from the game week. We're about 3 days away, so we'll see what happens. But moving on to the next one, we have Leeds at home to Arsenal. Now, based on what we said a few minutes ago, that Leeds are kind of like one of those sort of wild card teams. I do think Arsenal are probably going to pull away with this one simply because they lost their last game. I think they know they have to come back with some kind of performance to get them on the right track, to get them playing well again, get back to winning ways. So I think Arsenal are going to come in hot. I'm going to say 3-0 win for Arsenal, or sorry, 3-1 win for Arsenal. I think Leeds still have that random goal threat, so I'm going to give them the one, but I think it'll be 3-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I expect both teams to score like you, but I think Arsenal haven't really been kind of smashing teams at the moment, so I'd probably say it'll be a 2-1, and they'll say go 2-0 up. It'll be they can see the goal, and it's just park the bus like.
It could be, yeah. It could be. Okay, so we both have our predictions, same kind of outcome, but just different scores. Next one there is Wolves are at home to Bournemouth. I think I don't even have to think about form in this one whatsoever, because it's Wolves. I think Bournemouth are probably going to come away with they won 3-2 against Liverpool, so they've got something in them. I'm going to say 2-0 win for Bournemouth. I think is fair.
Yeah,
I think that's expected at some level.
Yeah, it's I think I'll go with the same.
Oh, copycat, are we?
Yeah, no, it's just I have it written down. Like I wrote it down before we started recording, so I guess we're both on the same page for how that game will go.
I guess we are. I'm making my predictions on the fly. I probably should have scheduled them, but anyway. Whatever. It's live. Let's not care.
Exactly.
So at least we both picked the same kind of outcome. Chelsea and West Ham. I don't know. I mean, I think the last Chelsea's last game, in the league, let me pull up here, was a 3-1 win to Crystal Palace. Before that game, they won 2-0 to Brentford, and then before that, they lost 2-0 to Fulham in early January. So, seems like they're picking it back up. But they do have Napoli in the Champions League tonight, and at 8 p.m. So, I don't know if that's going to affect the result much. I mean, 3 days was it today? Wednesday to Saturday is not much rest, so maybe some lads will be tired. So I'm going to consider that, and I mean, I still don't think West Ham are going to pull all that much out of this. I mean, I'm going to go with 2-0 again for Chelsea for this one. I mean, West Ham are sitting at 18th in the zone. I don't think much is going to happen, so I'm going to say 2-0 again for Chelsea for this one, I think.
Yeah, I'm sticking with what I gave Chelsea last week, and I'm going to say a 3-1 win, because I feel like it'll just be Jared Bowen scoring the West Ham goal, because he does seem to still be banging in the goals even when they were not doing well.
He does. I saw an interesting headline about Chelsea. I don't know how much truth it is, so I don't really have any information. But if it's true, it's so funny. I saw that apparently Cole Palmer is rumoured to want to go to Man United for 150 million.
Oh yeah, no, your man ruled that out. The manager ruled it out the other day. He said that was all false. So I guess United fans can't really get their hopes up, because it was confirmed false.
Figure.
But
150 million.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Did you also see, I guess, related to Cole Palmer, that he now, I guess, got rights to that Cole Palmer celebration, and he has its own.
Oh yeah, he has like a logo for it and everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty cool. Anyway, moving on, we've got Liverpool then versus Newcastle on Saturday as well at 8 p.m. Liverpool, like we said, 6th. They're only 2 points behind Man United, who are at 4th. So if they win this one, and if Man United lose, they could go up. Who knows? Newcastle are also sitting 9th right now at 33. So, if we look back at the last game for Liverpool, obviously we just said they lost to Bournemouth. Game before that was a draw to Burnley. Game before that was a draw to Arsenal. They're not looking too good in form right now.
No, definitely not.
And I think everyone's aware of the struggles of like Mo Salah and Florian Wirtz is picking it up, but last couple of games, I'm not really sure if he's done too much. I might be wrong though. So I'm going to be optimistic with this one for Newcastle. Even though they lost to Aston Villa and haven't won a Premier League game since early January, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say they're going to want to come back strong, and I think this could be the game for them. So I'm going to say they're going to have a 1-0 win over Liverpool, I think, is what I'm going to say.
That's interesting, yeah. Like, as you said, like, Newcastle kind of coming into this game will be judging how Liverpool's form has been, and that I'm pretty sure Liverpool are just giving away late goals for draws or losses, and
yeah,
I think it'll probably be Liverpool this weekend that'll come on the end of that, and I said 1-1. So I expect Newcastle to kind of have the lead for maybe the majority of the game, and then it's Liverpool clawing back the draw. Like, they're at Anfield, but their whole unbeaten record at Anfield got crushed, so it's a 50-50.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out what's going to happen. So anyway, moving on to the next one. We have got Aston Villa are at home to Brentford on Sunday, the 1st of February. I mean, Aston Villa, like we said a couple minutes ago, they beat Newcastle 2-0 recently last week. They did lose to Everton 1-0 the week before, but they beat Tottenham and drew to Crystal Palace the weeks prior. Brentford, on the other hand, lost 2-0 to Nottingham Forest, as we said. They lost to Chelsea, they beat they beat Sunderland, and they beat Everton. So, in the last 5, 3 wins, whereas Aston Villa, in the last 5, 3 wins, a draw and a loss. It's interesting. I think Brentford seem to be kind of losing it the last couple of games. 2 2-0 losses back to back. So, and I mean, Everton, or Jesus, I can't get my teams right. Aston Villa have won their last game against Newcastle 2-0. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I don't think Brentford are going to come back for this one. I don't know why. I just don't feel very positive for them. So I am going to say a 2-0 win for Aston Villa. I think it's fair.
Yeah, like we expected Brentford last week to do some good business against Forest, and that didn't happen. And I think their losses are just going to keep coming, and I think it'll be a 1-0 game or 1-0 to Aston Villa. It's going to be one of them games where, you know, there'll be lots of chances created, but there'll only be one moment that defines the whole match. Because like that, it's not like Brentford are getting bet like 4-0. It's like, I know it's 2-0, but it's I don't expect like Aston Villa to run away with the game, but I feel like they'd manage the game, get a goal, and just kind of keep popping at it. Yeah,
they could pull something out of it. But I still think I'm going to stick with Aston Villa, though. I think that could be an interesting show, I think.
Yeah.
So on to the next one. Then we have Man United versus Fulham. So we've had some interesting results for Man United last couple of days, last few weeks. They've, as we said, really picked it up in the last couple of games. They, in the last 5 games, obviously beat Arsenal and beat Newcastle, or beat Man City. 2 games that I don't think a lot of us expected them to win, but they won pretty convincingly. And Fulham, again, surprisingly, not surprisingly, but somewhat unexpectedly beat Brighton, and they've won their last couple of games. Besides a 1-0 loss to Leeds, they've done pretty well. But Man United under Michael Carrick recently has just been exceptional from what I've seen. So I'm going to stick with United for this one, and I'm going to say I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. They've scored at least 2 goals in their last 2 matches, so I'm going to say they're going to keep it up. I'm going to say 2-0 win.
Yeah, I'm kind of... It's kind of on the fence with this one because, you know, how many good results or wins can they get in a row? Because it's not, I guess, from a United's fan stance being like, oh, we're so used to winning, we're going to keep winning. So
exactly, yeah.
I feel like this game will probably be a 2-2 draw. I guess something has to be brought back to a reality in a sense that
it's still United.
I know it's still United, but I just feel like with how their season has gone, it would be crazy to see them win 3 games in a row, and that fellow his getting his haircut is gonna be like sharpening the scissors, because they're probably gone blunt for how long they've been waiting so far. But no, I think it'll be a 2-2. They take a draw against Fulham, especially for their form that they're on.
All right, fair enough. Then moving on, next game we have got Nottingham Forest up against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are in dire form recently. They haven't won any of their last 4 Premier League games, and Nottingham Forest are not in spectacular form themselves. I mean, like we said before earlier today, they won against Brighton, they drew to Arsenal, and they won to West Ham a couple of weeks ago. So they're not terrible results, but they're not convincing that they're going to smash Crystal Palace. But Crystal Palace are in bad form right now. I think, I'm also seeing a stat here that Nottingham Forest are unbeaten in their last 11 matches with Crystal Palace.
Jesus.
Could it be number 12? I mean, that's what, like fucking 8 years or something?
Oh my God.
8 years? What am I talking about? That's a lot of games in a row without a win. But I think based on how Nottingham Forest are doing this year and Crystal Palace as well, I don't really think either team is going to come out with something special. There's only 3 points between the two of them at the moment, so I'm gonna say a 2-2 draw. I think I'm gonna say 2-2 draw.
Yeah, that's actually a fair judgment, kind of looking at, I guess, previous games that they've played. They've drew 5 games out of the last 7. So,
Yeah.
and it's been Forest that have gotten the 1-0 wins in their previous games. But I guess, look, that's looking at the past, and you're kind of looking at the current state of Forest and Crystal Palace. I just have a feeling that, I don't know, Crystal Palace this might be their game week to actually start getting their momentum back, and I said a 1-0 win for Palace.
Okay. I guess we'll see. That game is on Sunday at 2 p.m. So we'll find out pretty soon, about 5 days from now. So not too long to wait. Next up then, we have got Tottenham are at home to City. I mean, I don't have to think too long and hard about this one. I think based on the fact that, I mean, City are still doing really well. Like we said, Semenyo is performing exceptionally well for his first game, or first couple of games with Man City. So I think that's going to play a part in it if Pep decides to play him or start him again. So I'm thinking that, especially because Man City are home to Galatasaray later tonight as well in the Champions League, that could have an effect on the game. No idea, but I think it's fair to say, with the amount of goals that City have been, well, scoring, they've kind of scored to, actually, I'm talking complete bullshit right now because I'm looking at their last couple of games. They scored 2 against Wolves, they lost 2-0 to United, and they won 2-0 to Newcastle. They're not scoring crazy amounts, but then again, this is Tottenham they're playing, so they might do it again. And Tottenham have won none of their last 4 Premier League games, but they have scored at least one time in all of them. So I think I'm going to say a 3-1 win to City. I think they're going to start recovering their form, and they might really put pressure on Arsenal this week for the title. So I'm going to say 3-1, and I'm going to make a slight prediction. I think Cuti Romero is going to score the 1 goal or something, or Van de Ven. It's going to be one of them just for fun. But yeah, I think 3-1 City. I think Tottenham might pull one back, but they've been in pretty bad form recently, so I think City will somewhat easily go through this one without much of a challenge, I reckon.
I went the exact same result, 3-1 City, because like that, I know Tottenham are literally like City's most bogiest team going, because looking at the history of the games, Tottenham have actually bet City more than City have bet Tottenham in the last 10 matches.
Oh.
So,
wow.
But I don't see how any chance that the form that's like Tottenham are in, and with their centre halves being their second and third top goal scorer, for them to wipe the floor with City. So
yeah.
I think 3-1 is a fair result, and
yeah.
I don't know, I'll say Richarlison will score. He'll start pulling away from the 2 centre halves.
He might. You never know. He might. Oh, and then the final game of game week 24 is going to be Sunderland versus Burnley. I mean, Sunderland right now sitting 11th, and Burnley, like we said as well, are sitting second last, 19th place in the relegation zone. So they're look, I don't think they're going to pull much out of it, but looking at the form of the last few games of both teams, I would honestly nearly say Burnley have been in a better position in form recently than Sunderland have been. But I mean, like I said last week, Sunderland are performing a lot better than I think most people would have expected. Last week before the game, they were sitting, I think, 9th or 8th. They're 11th now, so they went down a little bit. And Granit Xhaka is injured. He's obviously a pretty important piece for their team. But also Burnley have got a pretty decent list of injuries as well. I don't think much team is going to pull either. I think it's gonna be a 1-0 win for Sunderland. I reckon. I don't think Burnley are going to pull really anything out of this one. So I'm going to say 1-0 Sunderland.
I went 2-1 Sunderland because Burnley bet Sunderland at the start of the season, and we would have, I guess, thought months ago that this would be a relegation battle game. And it's more gone for it's actually just Burnley trying to win games to get out of the relegation, where Sunderland, I'm pretty sure, they're on 33 points. They're more or less a point away from that safety mark of not being relegated, with still loads of game weeks left to play. And they're like, Burnley are coming off being unbeaten in 4 games, with only one of them being a win and the rest draws. It's
not a very impressive unbeaten streak, is it?
Yeah, like, I guess for them, every point matters, but Sunderland, I guess it was a surprise to West Ham, but then it's not a surprise that West Ham's form has started to pick up under Nuno, because he did it with Forest and turned them into an unbelievable squad, and that whole issue with the manager got him, or not the manager, the owner got him kind of booted out. So I think it'd still be a 2-1 Sunderland win. They'll kick them out from when they got better last at the start of the season.
They could. I mean, we never know. There could be room for surprise. Burnley are, of course, 19th with 15 points. They're 10 points short of safety for now. Nottingham Forest are 17th at 25. They sit 5 points above West Ham. 10 points is not a huge gap. At that position of the table, it's pretty big, because teams are there. Clearly, they're struggling to score goals and win games at that point anyway. But I would still say it's not a huge gap. They still could maybe pull another couple points out the season. So I'm thinking that it might not be this week, but Burnley might pick it up. They might, within the next couple of weeks, get a couple goals, a few wins. I'm not sure, but if they have enough oomph and enough go for it, they could surprise us and come out the zone. But I don't think it's going to start this week.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I would like as a change is it's not the same. For years, it's been the same 3 teams come up, the same 3 go back down.
Yeah.
And this season, it's looking like 2 of the regular Premier League teams of Wolves and West Ham could be going down. And I think it's Coventry are destroying the Championship. So I'm pretty sure they're more or less guaranteed to come up. So I don't know how long it's actually been since Coventry have been in the Premier League. But it'd be good to see newer teams being consistently in the Premier League, because we haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, not that it's on topic what we're talking about, but like you said, currently I'm checking now, Coventry are sitting top of the Championship on 58. With the same kind of, not usual, but it's not crazy unexpected teams. You have Middlesbrough there, Ipswich. Hull haven't been in the Premier League for a long time, but they're sitting so far in promotion qualification, so we could see them next year. I think it's pretty cool. So far, Wrexham are sitting 6th. They're still within promotion qualification too. That could be cool to see them in the Premier League. 3 back-to-back promotions. It could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people are giving them stick over it, because they are more or less like this big American franchise now, with Ryan Reynolds and being bought over, and everyone's just kind of like, they're only getting this far because it's all about promotion, and if they keep getting promoted, it's more advertising for the Premier League in America. But you can't somehow fleece getting back-to-back promotions with it being fixed. And your man who they brought in as the manager when they were in the National League, he used to be a Championship manager, and they've managed to grab these players from the Championship to come down, play for them, and get them to where they are now. And if they get promoted, as you said, it would be pretty cool to see them in the Premier League. It
would be pretty cool. That was a little bit off topic, but another surprising position. Southampton are 15th in the championship right now. Wow. I knew they got relegated last year, but my goodness, I thought they wouldn't do that bad. Leicester are 14th in the championship. Wow.
Weird.
Wow. But anyway, and then I was just scrolling through to see if there's any other expected or unexpected teams. I saw Sheffield Wednesday are bottom of the championship with -7. So I'm sure something spectacular happened there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They got done for their club more or less nearly going into liquidation. So they got fined all this financial stuff. It was horrible, but it was gas. They actually they when they had their old owners, they used to like never sell t-shirts or anything, and then as soon as as soon as the owners left and they kind of went into this, I think it's called administration, they sold £227,000 worth of shirts.
Wow. That's a lot of money that they probably needed in a week. Oh my God.
People were flat out with it.
Like, it always like annoys me. I'm sure I don't understand any part of it, but it always annoys me when like the league is like, oh, you're struggling with money, -7 points.
Yeah.
Like, why would they do that?
I think they got -12, so -7 is looking generous for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure that I don't understand how all that stuff works. Never makes sense to me as an outsider, so I'm not even going to pretend I understand it.
Yeah, that's out of our depth, so we'll leave that talk
totally out of
there.
our depth. Yeah, we're not even experts on the scores, never mind what happens with administration, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, that's going to do it for episode number 2. That's our predictions. As always, check out our social medias. We keep you updated on our results, on our predictions, everything going on, and we make fun of other teams too because they sometimes deserve it. Make sure to check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the Balls and Goals Pod. You can find, as I said, more posts, other stuff there, and if you want, you can chat with us there too. As I said at the beginning, make sure to leave a rating. Please leave 5 stars or 4. We won't accept anything under that. Leave a comment. If your platform doesn't allow comments, just send us a message on social media instead, or follow us there. Leave a comment on one of our posts. That's good enough for me. But thank you so much for listening. And before we go, Jamie, is there anything you want to say to those listening before we go and before we see them again next week to do this all over again?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you made it this far, thanks again for listening. It's I was told during the week, and that we actually have brought up in our last episode some facts that they never heard before. So we are quite factual people, so that's what I'm saying.
Facts.
Yeah, if you tune in for next week, you're just gonna keep getting them better and better, because the more we do it, the more information we can gather, and the better we'll be able to, I guess, build this podcast with your help to help us, I guess, maybe talk about certain things more and structure it better. So 100%. Yeah, like as you said, leave a comment, leave a rating. Let us know what we can do better, or let us know what we are doing which is better than other places that you listen to. And yeah, tune in for next week for some even better content.
Absolutely. We'll keep our eyes and ears peeled for more news and interesting stories to bring you next week on our podcast. And even another reason to follow us on social media, we may even post it there instead, so we don't have to talk about it. Who knows? You never know. Make sure to follow us to keep up to date with as much information and funny things as we can give. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.